Hey, what's up guys? Sir Amnon here with the Lunalight deck profile that I played in the Yugioh subreddit's non-meta tournament Season 6. For those of you guys who don't know, the Yugioh subreddit hosts a seasonal online tournament that typically operates under a custom ban list that specifically is designed to make sure that people don't play certain decks that are competitive or play specific meta-relevant cards, or even certain decks that have done very well in previous tournaments. So for this event, I chose to play Dark Lunalights, which is a deck that is very largely inspired by Azalea, another Yugi tuber. Big shoutouts to him. Many of his ideas in this deck list I pretty much directly copied and pasted from, but essentially these are designed to make it so the deck is more flexible and more versatile than just the usual typical strategy that people typically associate with Lunalights, which is just go second in OTK. So essentially I ended up going 5-1 in Swiss. After 6 rounds, I believe it was 60 competitors roughly, give or take. I made it to top 8, where I ultimately lost 2-1 to Phantom Knight Burning Abyss. If you want to see my specific replays, I'll have replay commentaries that'll be posted in the upcoming days, so be sure to stay tuned for that. And if you also want information on the tournament itself, I'll have links posted in the description box down below. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the deck. So the first thing to note here is the inclusion of a Dark Engine, which is 3 Summoner Monk, 2 Armageddon Knight, and the Black Wing Zephyros the Elite. Now the idea of the engine is that the strongest play this deck could have is to open Summoner Monk, because what you do is you normal summon him, you use his effect to pitch any spell, and then you summon Armageddon Knight. This usually dumps the Lunalight Kaleido Chick, which you can revive very easily with either your Tiger, Perfume, or Reborn, and the Tiger you can search this off of the Tenki. So once you revive the Kaleido Chick using one of those means, you'll be able to access Curious the Lightsworn Dominion, which you can summon because you have a Dark Spellcaster, Warrior, and Beast Warrior, which is very nice. So you can use Curious's on-summon effect to send the Black Wing Zephyros the Elite from your deck to the graveyard, which allows you to bounce your Tiger, which you normally have in your Pendulum Scale because you'll either have it from the start, or you can search it off the Perfume if you use Perfume that way, and this can bounce the Tiger that you can rescale, use its effect again, and now you have 2 level 4s on board, which you can go and make some rank 4 plays. And depending on what else you have in hand, you can also make some fusion plays as well. So this play is very explosive. It allows you to go for disruptors, going first in the form of like a Nightmare or Dweller or Tornado Dragon, while also having the flexibility of being able to go second, use these as just toolbox options to out their board, and then have another link marker to go for more fusion plays. So it's very versatile. It's something you want to start off with, and it's something that is very key to the Dark Engine, like the Dark strategy of the deck, I should say. But if you don't open Summoner Monk, it's not the end of the world. You're still playing Lunalights, and you still have your awesome monsters in the form of 3 Kaleido Chick, 3 Black Sheep, and 3 Tiger. These 9 monsters are the core of the Lunalight strategy, and none of these should be played in any less than 3. Not Tiger. Don't play 2 Tiger, especially, because this is not only the monster reborn that's searchable, it's the monster reborn that's searchable that's not once per turn in any way, shape, or form. It's also really cool because I think one of the most underappreciated forms and aspects of the Lunalight archetype is the fact that you have pendulum monsters, and you can use this in tandem with the Lunalight Wolf to actually pendulum summon your monsters out and go for additional plays, whether it be link plays, rank 4 plays, or just any way to make your fusion substitute alive, which is really cool. You definitely don't want to play any less than 3 of these because they are essential to resource management, recursion, any sort of fusion or link play or Xyz play. They are basically what enable you to do pretty much everything. We also played 3 copies of Wolf and 1 copy of Blue Cat. Now this is slightly less conventional, and I was actually supposed to switch this ratio around to 2 and 2. I was playing a build that actually maximized opening Wolf, so you can always go for a Pendulum Summon turn 1. It was cool. It ended up being this build, which I did run, and it ended up performing pretty well, but there are issues with clogging with Wolf, as well as missing the second Blue Cat if you banish the first off Desires and you want to make a, say, rank 4 play. You can't send Kaleido Chick off of Kaleido Chick because it doesn't change the game state, so you have to send something else. So second Blue Cat sometimes came up, but this was also fine because it maximized consistency in being able to just open with as many combo pieces as possible, so you could search whatever you're missing should you open like a Tenki or Perfume. You don't need like multiple searches if you only have access to one. So that's pretty cool. Would switch to 2 and 2, but wasn't the worst thing. For the hand trap lineup, I played 2 Effective Veiler and 2 Ghost Ogre. This is a deck that I typically did blind second with. Granted, you can go first with this deck because you have things like Summoner Monk, but I would be more comfortable in breaking my opponent's board because you can't rely on Monk even though he is like the centerpiece of the big combo. So you do want some hand traps to make sure you don't lose going second, but you don't want to clog with them because we are still playing a combo deck at the end of the day, so you definitely do want to keep it a little bit on the low end. I think 4 is pretty practical. These are the most generic since Ash Blossom is banned, and we have a variety in hand traps as well, so we don't clog with too many of the same type as well. I didn't open with these too many. I didn't I didn't use their effects that often, but the times I did use their effects, they were pretty good. Then for the spells, I played 3 Tenki and 3 Perfume, the consistency boosters, and Perfume is also a fantastic extender because it's a straight monster reboard. These cards are standard, and they're probably the best cards in the deck. And to go with the theme of consistency, I play the Upstart, obviously, and I play 3 Pot of Desires. So I think it's crazy and insane that Desires was legal for this event, because I think that decks that could play Desires had a massive advantage over those that couldn't. But obviously, I think you should play 3 Desires if you choose to play the Desires at all, because if you play 2, you're seeing it 11% less often, but you're only bricking with multiples about 2% less. So it's a card you would rather see it than not see it, and you want to see it as soon as possible, so play 3 in my opinion. And I think statistically, you should play it. I think in a non-meta environment, like if you could have a +1, like that is just such a big advantage. Then for the fusion lineup, we played 2 Poly and 1 Fusion Sub, which might initially seem kind of contradictory to the maximize consistency element, but think about it this way, right? In a fusion deck like this, where you have access to a searcher for a fusion card, you can just fetch for whatever you need. And funnily enough, you're not fusing a whole ton. Like you have Poly, and you have a searcher for Poly, and you have things that can revive it back. That's cool. But you have a lot of ways to make rank 4 plays instead, like if you want to actually toolbox, which I think is pretty important. And you also have the Wolf, which can be a miracle fusion, of course. So in reality, you don't actually rely on these like to actually advance your game state a whole ton, and you have the added benefit of having the fusion substitute at your disposal if you want to dump it off goods, if you want to dump it off, say, Curious, if you have Zephyros in circulation, so you can get the extra draw, which actually benefits consistency in the end. You don't actually run into the problem of, oh, you need 2 Lunalights on the field specifically to fuse with substitute. That just doesn't come up as often as a draw does, which I think is actually something that's pretty remarkable to note. Also on the somewhat controversial end is the 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. I think that you need to be able to have a playable hand at all times in any deck really. You just want every hand to be playable if you can. And while this doesn't make your good hands better, it's not explosive, it doesn't do any of that, what it does do is it makes it so if you don't open this, or this, or this, you can actually still play the game, which is critical. I don't want to open a hand, look at the opening 5 or even 6 cards and see, oh, no starter card, well I guess I just have to set a monster and pass. I don't think that's something that I should be relying on in a deck that is very good at maintaining its resources once it has access to them, so I'd rather just get access to them in the first place, so this does the job. It is a hard once per turn, but unlike Desires, it's not a plus, it actually still does -2/1, and I do see why people don't run it, but I think that if you really just need to play the game and just need one thing to combo off, like say you open Tiger without anything to revive, this kind of just gets you there. So 2 copies of this, and 1 copy of regular Foolish Burial. It makes it so that your graveyard is even more of a second hand. You can use it in tandem with your Tiger and your Perfume. You can dump Zephyros, so you can send other stuff with Curious. Overall, a good card. Finally, Reborn. It's a Saki 1-of. It contributes to the theme of the deck, and it can revive opponents' boss monsters. It's really good. Your extra deck is a 2 Cat Dancer, 2 Panther Dancer, and 1 Leo Dancer. I ran the 2 Panther Dancer because it's probably the most summoned in terms of breaking your opponent's board, because it combos really well with Underclock Taker. You lower their attack, you just kill all their monsters, you just kill their entire board, you do a ton of damage. I think Leo Dancer, I agree with Azalea, you just should not play this card, or you should not summon this card if you can't win that turn. This is purely a finisher. there are so many decks that have non-targeting outs like Shino Baron Peacock, or like Galaxy Eyes Full Armor Force Dragon to punch over it, or like Stormy Mirror Force, Quaking Mirror Force. Like all these cards just destroy, like, or not destroy literally, but can out this card pretty easily. And if left unattended, which is probably most of the time, honestly, like you're gonna be left with 0 resources. There are times where you can make 2 Panther Dancer, which can make Hope Harbinger, which is cool, but didn't really come up too much in the event. I'd rather just make rank 4s most of the time, so that's something to note. Cat Dancer is something that is a stepping stone to reach Panther Dancer. You can also dump it off Kaleido Chicks, similar to Panther Dancer if you want to access your other fusions. There are, again, times you can make 2 of these if you want to run Odd Ice Vortex and Absolute Dragon, and you can make Tornado Dragon to pop a scare to make it live and all that, but that's putting too many eggs in one basket for my taste, so I chose just to not do it. For the XCs, besides for Harbinger, I ran 3 Disruptors in the form of Dweller, Nightmare, and Tornado Dragon. These are great going first, especially Nightmare if you're going blind, and they allow you to have actually board presence in a deck that's typically relegated to just go second, so that's cool. They're also really nice toolboxing options in general, so that's always nice to have. I also played Tiger King, which can be a consistency booster in the form of Searching Tenki, but its skill drain effect is also pretty nice. However, it didn't really come up for me in the event because I would rather just make rank 4s with other things, and it happens that Zephyros is not a Beast Warrior. Also, I played Diamond Direwolf. It's really cool because it clears your extra monster zone, so you can clear threats going second while paving the way for other rank 4s as well as fusion plays. Finally, we have the Link monsters, Boreal Dragon to out other Boreal Dragons and hard things to out. Curious for the combo, Deco for the not combo but still generic Link 3 that clears space and points downward in 2 directions, and an Underclock Taker, which is really easy to make and is a fantastic duo with the Lunalight Panther Dancer. In the side deck, I played 2 DD Crow as a hedge against graveyard reliant strategies like the Burning Abyss deck, but against the Burning Abyss deck, it was very mediocre because it is a single point disruption in a deck that is flooded with those types of monsters, so I probably should have just played a Chaos Hunter or something instead. I played a Kaiju package, specifically if I want to out spooky monsters, but the cool thing is this Kaiju Slumber has added utility because we have Curious and Foolish Bureau Goods, which can both jump it to be able to search on your next turn to out something, which is cool. Raigeki was pretty bad, honestly. It's not good going first. Going second, it kind of conflicts with Panther Dancer, but you do kind of need it against like Floodgate monsters such as Majesty's Fiend. Vanity's Fiend was banned. Majesty's Fiend, as well as, say, Thunder King Ryo. We don't have access to Evenly Match, so obviously these are the best things. Also, I didn't play Baguska, by the way, because Baguska was banned. I played 3 Cosmic Cyclone as well, because you want stuff against back row decks, because back row can be a bit of a problem sometimes. Should have sided this in more, didn't side it in enough. It was pretty impactful though when it did hit the board. I played a mini Solemn package specifically for going first in the form of 2 Strike and 1 Judgment, because these are pretty good to deter your opponent or to stop their plays going first. They never outright won the game, but they got me there to be able to do my plays on the following turn. And finally, the MVP of the side deck, oh boy, it's Unending Nightmare. Probably the best card. I should have played 3. It stops like Ultrageist cards, it stops the Metalfoe scales that I played against. It also stops Floodgates, which is something that I really should have had more foresight. I should have boarded these in more often if I was expecting that the deck could play stuff like Anti-Spell Fragrance, which definitely lost me a couple games. But that's it for the deck profile. Overall, very smooth, very streamlined. Would cut a third one of these for a second one of these. Would probably cut DD Crow for like a Chaos Hunter or something different, or something similar. Would probably change up the extra deck a little bit for maybe like Castel, maybe a Utopia package. But overall, I think everything ran pretty smoothly. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one.